They say blood is thicker than water, but nobody warns you that sometimes blood can drown you. My name is Holly, and I need to tell you about the contract that destroyed my family. Not because I regret it, I don't, but because you need to understand what really happened before the lawyers started talking and the newspapers got hold of the story. It started 18 months ago with my sister Sloane crying in my kitchen. "I can't do this anymore, Holly." She was clutching a pregnancy test, her third negative that month. "The doctors say my eggs are basically ancient history at 29. Can you believe that?" I handed her tissues and made tea, the same ritual we'd performed dozens of times. Sloane had been trying for 3 years, and each failed cycle carved deeper lines around her eyes. "There has to be something else we can try," I said. "There is." She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. "But it's huge, like life-changing huge." I waited. "Would you carry a baby for me?" The words hung in the air like smoke. I set down my mug carefully. "Sloane, I know it's insane. I know I'm asking for everything. But Holly, you're the only person I trust with this. You're the only one who could give me my dream and know that you'd always be part of it." She grabbed my hands across the table. "You wouldn't just be giving me a baby. You'd be giving me my family. And you'd be the best aunt ever. I promise you that. This baby would know how much their Aunt Holly loved them before they were even born." I stared at her tear-streaked face, remembering the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, who made me friendship bracelets every summer, who called me her hero when I taught her to ride a bike. I need to think about it. "Of course, take all the time you need. But Holly?" She squeezed my hands. "I love you. Whatever you decide, I love you." 3 weeks later, I said yes. The paperwork came a month after that, mountains of it. "Jesus, Sloane, did you hire the entire law firm?" I joked, flipping through page after page of dense legal text. "Vance insisted we be thorough." She waved dismissively. "You know how he is about covering all the bases. It's mostly just compensation stuff. Medical expenses, lost wages, that kind of thing." I paused at a section titled Post-Birth Relationship Parameters. The language was so convoluted I couldn't make sense of it. "What's this part about?" Sloane barely glanced over. "Oh, that's just standard surrogacy language. Making sure everyone's on the same page about boundaries and expectations. Nothing to worry about. Maybe I should have a lawyer look at this." "Holly." Sloane's voice got that edge it always had when she thought I was being difficult. "Do you trust me or not?" "Of course I trust you." "Then sign it. We're family." This is about love, not legal loopholes. So I signed. Page after page after page, my signature getting sloppier as I went. Sloane and Vance signed too, beaming at each other like they'd just won the lottery. "I can't believe we're really doing this," Sloane whispered, hugging me tight. "You're making all my dreams come true." The pregnancy was textbook perfect. Sloane came to every appointment, held my hand during the ultrasounds, cried when we found out it was a girl. She picked the name, Livia, and we spent hours talking about the nursery, about family traditions we'd passed down, about how lucky this little girl would be to have so many people who loved her. "She's going to be so spoiled," Sloane laughed during one of our shopping trips. "Between you and me and Mom and Dad, she'll never want for anything. Especially love," I said, my hand on my growing belly. "Especially love." At 7 months, I felt Livia kick for the first time during one of our sister dinners. The movement was so sudden and strong that I gasped. "Was that?" Sloane's eyes went wide. "Give me your hand." She pressed her palm against my stomach and we waited. Then it happened again, a firm little push against our joined hands. "Oh my God," Sloane whispered. "She knows we're here." "She knows her family loves her," I said. We sat there in the restaurant, hands stacked on my belly, crying happy tears while other diners pretended not to stare. That night, lying in bed with my hand on my stomach, I made a promise to the little girl growing inside me. "I'll always protect you, Livia. No matter what happens, you'll always have your Aunt Holly." I had no idea that in 3 months I'd be fighting to keep that promise. And I definitely had no idea what I'd actually signed my name to in all that paperwork nobody bothered to read. Labor started at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. 18 hours later, I was holding the most beautiful baby I'd ever seen. "She's perfect," I whispered, exhausted but euphoric. Livia's tiny fingers wrapped around mine, and my heart exploded with love I didn't know was possible. Sloane was crying, reaching for her daughter. "Can I?" "Of course." I placed Livia in her arms, watching my sister's face transform with wonder. "Hello, my beautiful girl," Sloane cooed. "Mommy's here." Vance stood behind them, snapping photos with his phone. "She looks just like you, babe." "She has Holly's nose," Sloane said, glancing at me with what I thought was gratitude. The next few hours blurred together. Nurses came and went, forms were signed, visitors filtered through. My parents arrived with flowers and champagne. "Oh, she's gorgeous," Mom gushed, taking her turn holding Livia. "Look at those little cheeks." Dad squeezed my shoulder. "You did good, kiddo. Real good." But something felt off. Sloane and Vance huddled together, whispering. When I asked to hold Livia again, Sloane hesitated. "Maybe we should let her sleep," she said. "You need rest too." "I'm fine. I just wanna—" "Holly." Vance's voice was firm. "Sloane's right. You've been through a lot." I looked between them, confused. "She's my niece. I carried her for 9 months." "And we're grateful," Sloane said quickly. "So grateful. But she needs to bond with her parents now." The word parents hit like a slap. Not us. Not her family. Her parents. I was discharged the next day. Sloane and Vance left with Livia 2 hours before I was released. They didn't say goodbye. The first week home was brutal. My body ached, my hormones were chaos, and the house felt tomb quiet without the baby I'd carried for 9 months. I called Sloane twice. Both times went to voicemail. "Hey, it's me. Just wanted to check on Livia. Call me back?" She didn't. On day 10, Mom called to invite me to Sunday dinner. "It'll be good for you to get out," she said. "Sloane and Vance are bringing the baby." Finally, I spent an hour getting ready, bought a tiny pink outfit as a gift. I arrived at my parents' house to find everyone already seated around the dining room table. Livia was in a carrier beside Sloane's chair, sleeping peacefully. "There she is," I said, moving toward the baby. "Don't wake her," Sloane said sharply. "She just went down." I froze. "I wasn't going to wake her. I just wanted to see her." "Maybe after dinner," Vance said. "She's been fussy all day." I took my seat, staring at the baby I could barely see from across the table. The conversation flowed around me. Work, weather, plans for the holidays. Nobody mentioned the birth. Nobody asked how I was feeling. It was like I wasn't there. After dinner, I helped Mom clear the dishes. That's when I heard Vance talking to Dad in the living room. "We really appreciate what Holly did," he was saying, "but now we need to focus on what's best for Livia." "Of course," Dad replied. "That's what matters most." "The thing is," Vance continued, "having too many people involved can be confusing for a baby. She needs stability, consistency." I stepped closer to the kitchen doorway, dishes forgotten. "Holly's been through a lot," Mom said, joining the conversation. "But she knew this day would come. She was just the incubator after all." The plate I was holding slipped from my hands and shattered on the floor. Everyone rushed into the kitchen. Mom looked mortified, but not apologetic. "Holly, I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did." My voice was steady, but my hands were shaking. "You meant exactly what you said." "Now hold on," Dad started. "No." I looked at each of them, my parents, my sister, my brother-in-law. "I get it now. The job's done. The incubator served its purpose." "Holly, please," Sloane said. "You're being dramatic." "Am I?" I knelt and started picking up the broken pieces. "When's the last time you returned my calls? When's the last time you asked how I'm doing?" "We've been busy." "With my niece." The baby I carried. The baby I delivered. The baby you promised I'd always be part of her life. Sloane's face flushed. Things are complicated now. No, they're not. I stood up, ceramic shards still in my palm. They're actually very simple. You got what you wanted, and now I'm inconvenient.
That's not fair, Vance said. Isn't it? I looked at him directly. Tell me, Vance, when's my next visit with Livia? When am I babysitting? When am I taking her to the park or reading her bedtime stories? He didn't answer. Holly, Sloane said quietly, maybe it's better if you stepped back, for everyone's sake, including yours. The words hung in the air like poison gas. For everyone's sake, I repeated, or for your sake. Don't make this harder than it has to be, Mom said. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Harder? You think this is me making things hard? I walked to the living room and looked down at Livia, still sleeping peacefully in her carrier. She was so beautiful, so perfect, so completely cut off from me. Goodbye, I said to the room. Nobody tried to stop me. That night I deleted their numbers from my phone. All of them except one. I called Natasha. They think I'll just disappear, I told my best friend. They think I'll collapse and fade away like a good little incubator. Will you? She asked. I stared at the stack of legal papers on my kitchen table, the ones nobody had bothered to read carefully. No, I said. I don't think I will. The weeks after that dinner were the darkest of my life. I'd wake up at 3 a.m., my body still programmed to feed a baby who wasn't there. My breasts ached, my hormones were a disaster, and I felt like a ghost haunting my own life. Natasha came over every few days with takeout and tissues. You look like hell, she said, setting Chinese food on my coffee table. Thanks, really what I needed to hear. I'm serious, Holly. When's the last time you showered? I couldn't remember. Come on, she pulled me off the couch. Shower first, then we eat, then we talk about those papers. What papers? The ones you've been staring at for 3 weeks, the contract you signed. After my shower, Natasha had spread the documents across my dining table like she was preparing for battle. Okay, walk me through this, she said. What exactly did they tell you this was? Compensation agreement, medical expenses, lost wages, that kind of thing. Uh-huh. She flipped through pages, her lawyer brain working. And this section here? Post-birth relationship parameters? Sloane said it was standard language about boundaries. Holly. Natasha looked up at me. This isn't standard anything. This is actually brilliant. What do you mean? I mean, whoever wrote this contract wasn't just thinking about surrogacy. They were thinking about legacy. She pointed to a dense paragraph I'd never understood. See this clause? It ties your access to Livia directly to the Family Trust Fund. What family trust fund? The one your grandparents set up. The one worth about $12 million. I stared at her. 12 million? Your grandparents were smart. They created a trust that pays out to family members, but only if certain conditions are met. Conditions about family unity and inclusion. I don't understand. Holly, if Sloane and Vance prevent you from having a relationship with Livia, if they exclude you from family gatherings, deny you access to your niece, treat you like you're not family, they forfeit their share of the inheritance. That's impossible. It's not just possible, it's ironclad. And guess what? If they forfeit their share, it goes to you. My phone buzzed. A text message from a number I didn't recognize. Welcome party for baby Livia this Saturday. Can't wait to celebrate our little princess. Sloane. I showed Natasha the screen. I wasn't supposed to get this. Group text? Has to be. Look. I scrolled up. The message was sent to 12 people. Mom, Dad, Vance's parents, Sloane's college friends, some cousins. Everyone except me. They're having a party for my niece and didn't invite me, I said. But they accidentally included you in the planning text. God, they can't even exclude me properly.
Natasha was quiet for a long moment. Holly, what do you want to do about this? What do you mean? I mean, you have options. You could let this go, walk away, try to heal, or you could make them face the consequences of their choices. I stared at the contract, then at the text message. They're celebrating without me. The baby I carried, delivered, loved. They're having a party and I'm not invited. Actually, you are invited. They just don't know it yet. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we pay them a visit. You need to get your things from Sloane's house anyway, right? The baby clothes you bought? The gifts? Saturday afternoon, I drove to Sloane's house. The driveway was packed with cars. Through the front window, I could see people laughing, holding drinks, passing around a tiny pink bundle. My niece, being celebrated by everyone except the woman who brought her into the world. I used my key, the one Sloane had given me months ago, the one she'd forgotten to ask for back. The house was decorated with pink balloons and welcome baby banners. The living room was full of people I recognized, all cooing over Livia. Holly, Sloane's voice was sharp with panic. What are you doing here? Getting my things, I said calmly. The baby clothes I bought, the gifts I wrapped. You can't just what? Enter the house I have a key to. Collect the belongings I left here? Vance appeared at Sloane's side. This isn't a good time. For who? The room had gone quiet. Everyone was staring at us. Maybe we should talk privately, Sloane said. Why? These are all family friends, right? People who love Livia? I walked over to where Vance's mother was holding the baby. Hi, Mrs. Carter. She's beautiful, isn't she? She is, the older woman said carefully. I carried her for 9 months, delivered her 10 days ago. Holly, Sloane hissed. Stop. Stop what? Telling the truth? I looked around the room at all the uncomfortable faces. I'm Livia's aunt, the one who made her existence possible, but I wasn't invited to her welcome party. It's complicated, Vance said. No, it's not. I pulled out my phone and started recording. It's actually very simple. You got what you wanted, and now you're erasing me. Turn that off, Sloane demanded. Why? Afraid someone might hear how you really feel about your sister? You're being ridiculous. Am I? Tell me, Sloane. When's my next visit with Livia? When am I babysitting her? When am I reading her bedtime stories like you promised? Sloane's face crumpled. Holly, please. You're making a scene. I'm making a scene? I'm the problem here. Yes, the word exploded out of her. You are the problem. You can't just show up and expect everything to be the same. You were the surrogate. The job is done. We need space to be a family. The room was dead silent. There it is, I said to my phone. The truth. I was just the surrogate. The job is done. I stopped recording and looked at my sister. Thank you for clarifying where I stand. I gathered my things from upstairs. The baby clothes, the gifts, the breast pump I'd bought. When I came back down, the party had resumed, but the energy was different. Strained. Holly, Mom said as I headed for the door, let's talk about this. Talk about what? How I was just the incubator? How the job is done? You're twisting things. I'm repeating things. Your words. I looked back at the room full of people celebrating my niece. Enjoy the party. I hope it's everything you dreamed of. That night, Natasha came over with wine and a laptop. So, she said, settling onto my couch. Ready to make some calls? What kind of calls? The kind that remind people what they signed. I looked at the contract spread across my coffee table, then at the video on my phone of Sloane telling me I was just the surrogate. Yeah, I said. I think I am. Tell me about this trust fund, I said, pouring wine for both of us. Natasha pulled up documents on her laptop. Your grandparents were old-school wealthy, built a fortune in real estate, but they were terrified their family would fall apart after they died. So they created a trust. Not just any trust, A behavioral trust. It pays out based on family cohesion. If family members exclude each other, cut each other off, or break family bonds, they lose their inheritance. She turned the screen toward me. Look at this clause. Beneficiaries who engage in actions that deliberately exclude, ostracize, or sever family relationships shall forfeit their portion, which will be redistributed to the wronged party. That's specific. Your grandmother was apparently very specific about family loyalty. She'd seen too many wealthy families destroy themselves over money. But how does this connect to my surrogacy contract? Natasha grinned. That's the beautiful part. Remember when you were confused about all the legal language? The post-birth relationship parameters? Sloane said it was standard. It wasn't standard. It was genius. Someone, and I'm betting it was Jake Williams, the family lawyer, wrote language that directly tied your surrogacy agreement to the trust conditions. She pulled up another document. See this? In the event that the intended parents prevent the surrogate from maintaining familial relationships with the child, including but not limited to exclusion from family gatherings, denial of visitation rights, or public statements diminishing the surrogate's family status, such actions shall constitute a violation of family unity provisions outlined in Trust Document 1987B. English, please. If they cut you out, they lose everything, and you get it all. I stared at the screen. $12 million. 12.7, actually. It's been growing for decades. But they signed this. Sloane, Vance, even my parents had to sign as witnesses. Why would they agree to this? Because they didn't read it. You said it yourself. Mountains of paperwork. Vance wanted to be thorough. Sloane dismissed your concerns. They trusted the lawyer. They trusted that the lawyer was working for them. Something in her tone made me look up. Wasn't he? Jake Williams has been the family lawyer for 30 years. He wrote your grandparents' trust. He knew exactly what he was doing when he drafted your surrogacy contract. Are you saying he set them up? I'm saying he protected you, and he protected your grandparents' wishes about family unity. My phone rang. Unknown number. Holly? This is Jake Williams. I think we need to talk. I looked at Natasha, who nodded. Mr. Williams, I was just learning about some interesting clauses in my contract. I'm sure you were. Can you come to my office tomorrow? There are some things we need to discuss. What kind of things? The kind that require privacy and proper documentation. After I hung up, Natasha was practically bouncing. This is it, Holly. This is your moment. I don't know if I can do this. Do what? Hold them accountable for their choices? Destroy my family. They destroyed your family. You're just making sure there are consequences. I walked to the window, looking out at the street where I'd grown up, where Sloane and I had learned to ride bikes, where we'd planned our futures together. What if they change? What if they realize what they've done and try to make it right? Do you think they will? I thought about Sloane's face at the party, the way she'd called me the problem, the way my mother had called me just the incubator. No, I said. I don't think they will. Then what's your choice? Let them win? Let them erase you completely? Or remind them that actions have consequences? The next morning, I sat in Jake Williams' office, a man I'd known peripherally my whole life but never really talked to. Your grandparents were remarkable people, he said, settling behind his desk. They loved this family deeply, but they weren't naive about human nature. They saw this coming. They saw the potential for it. Wealth changes people. Power changes people. They wanted to make sure family loyalty was rewarded and family betrayal was punished. So you wrote the surrogacy contract to trigger the trust conditions. I wrote a contract that protected everyone's interests, including yours. But you knew they wouldn't read it carefully. Jake was quiet for a moment. I knew Vance would be focused on protecting himself legally. I knew Sloane would trust her sister. I knew your parents would defer to their son-in-law's judgment. And you knew I'd be vulnerable. I knew you'd be the one who needed protection most. He slid a folder across the desk. The question now is, what do you want to do about it? I opened the folder. Legal documents, bank statements, property deeds. This is everything? Everything. The trust, the properties, the investments. All of it transfers to you the moment I file the violation paperwork. And if I don't file? Then nothing changes. They keep their inheritance, you remain excluded, and your grandparents' wishes are ignored. I stared at the papers. $12.7 million. More money than I'd ever dreamed of. There's one more thing, Jake said. A provision your grandmother insisted on. What kind of provision? If you choose to activate the trust transfer, you have the option to set conditions for them to earn it back. What kind of conditions? Whatever you think is fair. Full family reconciliation, public apology, guaranteed access to Livia. Your choice. And if they refuse? Then the money stays with you permanently. I closed the folder. I need time to think. Of course, but Holly? Yes? Your grandmother specifically wrote that this provision exists to protect family members who are wronged by those they love most. She'd seen too many families destroyed by people who thought love meant they could take without consequence. That evening, I called Natasha. I'm going to do it, I said. File the papers? Not yet. First, I'm going to give them one last chance. What do you mean? I'm going to invite them to dinner, all of them, and I'm going to tell them exactly what they signed. And if they don't care? I looked at the folder on my kitchen table, then at the video on my phone of Sloan calling me the problem. Then they'll learn that being family means more than sharing DNA. When? This weekend, same night as Livia's 1-month celebration. They're having another party? According to the group text I accidentally got invited to again. Natasha laughed. You're really going to do this? Yeah, I said. I really am. I sent the dinner invitation on Thursday. Family dinner at my place Saturday, 7 p.m. We need to talk about Livia and our family's future. Please come, all of you. Holly. Sloan called within an hour. What's this about? She demanded. Exactly what it says. We need to talk. Holly, if this is about the party, it's about a lot of things. Will you come? I don't know. Vance thinks... I'm not asking Vance. I'm asking you. Silence. Then, fine, but we can't stay long. Livia's been fussy. Bring her. What? Bring Livia. She's part of this family too, right? Another pause. I'll think about it. Saturday arrived gray and cold. I spent the morning cooking. Mom's pot roast recipe, Dad's favorite mashed potatoes, Sloane's beloved apple pie. All the comfort foods from our childhood. They arrived together at 7:15. Mom clutched her purse like a shield. Dad looked uncomfortable in his good shirt. Sloane carried Livia's car seat, Vance trailing behind with a diaper bag. Smells good in here, Dad said, trying for normal. Thanks. Come in, sit down. We gathered around my dining table, the same table where I'd signed the contract that would change everything. Livia slept peacefully in her carrier beside Sloane's chair. So, Vance said, cutting into his pot roast. What's this about? Family traditions, I said. Remember when Grandma used to make us say what we were grateful for before dessert? Holly, Mom warned. Don't start. Start what? Remembering when we actually acted like a family? We are a family, Sloane said. Are we? When's the last time you called me? You know things have been complicated. Complicated how? Because I carried your daughter? Because I gave you the one thing you wanted most in the world? Vance set down his fork. Look, we're grateful for what you did, but you have to understand, we need space to bond as a family unit. A family unit that doesn't include me. That's not what we said. Isn't it? I pulled out my phone and played the recording from the party. Sloane's voice filled the room. You were the surrogate. The job is done. We need space to be a family. Sloane's face went white. You recorded me? I recorded the truth. That was a private conversation. At a party celebrating my niece, where I wasn't invited. Holly, Dad said. Maybe we should all calm down. I am calm, Dad. Calmer than I've been in weeks, actually. I stood and walked to the kitchen, returning with dessert plates and the apple pie. You know what I realized while I was making this pie? The same recipe Sloan and I used to make with Grandma every Christmas? I served each of them a slice, my movements deliberate and careful. I realized that Grandma always said family was about more than blood. It was about showing up for each other, supporting each other, never abandoning each other when things got hard. Nobody abandoned anyone, Mom said. Really? Then why haven't any of you asked how I'm doing? Why haven't you checked if I need anything? Why haven't you acknowledged that I just went through childbirth and recovery completely alone? You chose to do this, Vance said. I chose to help my sister. I didn't choose to be erased. My phone chimed, a notification from Jake Williams. I glanced at it, then looked around the table. There's something else we need to discuss, something about the contract I signed. What about it? Sloan asked. Did any of you actually read it? Of course we read it, Vance said. All of it? Every clause? Every condition? It was a surrogacy agreement, Mom said. Standard stuff. Was it? I pulled out the folder Jake had given me. Because I've been learning some interesting things about what we all signed. I opened to the first page. For instance, did you know the contract ties directly to Grandma and Grandpa's trust fund? The room went dead quiet. What trust fund? Sloan asked. The one worth $12.7 million? The one that pays out based on family unity and inclusion. Vance's fork clattered to his plate. That's impossible. Is it? Dad, you were there when Grandma set up the trust. You signed as a witness. Dad's face had gone pale. Holly, what are you saying? I'm saying that when you exclude family members, when you cut them off or treat them like they don't belong, you forfeit your inheritance. That's ridiculous, Mom said, but her voice shook. Is it? Let me read you something. I flipped to a marked page. Beneficiaries who engage in actions that deliberately exclude, ostracize, or sever family relationships shall forfeit their portion, which will be redistributed to the wronged party. You're making this up, Sloan whispered. My phone chimed again, another notification. Actually, I'm not making anything up, and neither is Jake Williams, who just sent confirmation that all the paperwork is ready to file. What paperwork? Vance demanded. The paperwork that transfers your inheritance to me, based on your violation of the Family Unity Clause. Sloan started crying. Holly, you can't be serious. I'm completely serious. You called me just the incubator. You excluded me from family gatherings. You told me the job was done, and I needed to disappear. We never said disappear. You didn't have to. Your actions said it for you. Vance stood up abruptly. This is blackmail. No, this is consequences. There's a difference. Holly, Dad said quietly, what do you want? I want what was promised to me. I want to be Livia's aunt. I want to be part of this family. I want the respect and inclusion I was guaranteed when I signed that contract. And if we say no? Mom asked. I looked at each of them, then at Livia sleeping peacefully in her carrier. Then you'll learn that family loyalty isn't just a nice idea. It's a legal obligation. My phone chimed a third time. Jake's message was simple. Papers filed. Transfer complete. Congratulations. I showed them the screen. Too late, I said. You already said no. The explosion that followed was everything I'd expected, and nothing I was prepared for. Vance exploded first. You manipulative bitch! He slammed his hand on the table, making the dishes jump. You planned this whole thing. Vance! Sloan grabbed his arm, but he shook her off. No, she played us, all of us. The whole sob story about wanting to help, about being the loving sister, it was all a setup. Sit down, I said calmly. Don't tell me what to do. You just stole our inheritance. I didn't steal anything. You forfeited it. Mom was frantically scrolling through her phone. This can't be legal. There has to be something we can do. Call Jake if you want, I said. He'll explain it to you. Dad sat in stunned silence, staring at his untouched pie.
Holly, Sloane said through her tears. Please, you're my sister. We can fix this. Can we? How? I don't know, but there has to be a way. You can't destroy our family over this. I didn't destroy our family, you did, when you decided I was disposable. Livia started crying, probably startled by all the shouting. Sloane picked her up, bouncing her gently. Look at her, Sloane said desperately. Look at your niece. You're going to ruin her future over hurt feelings? Hurt feelings? I stood up. You think this is about hurt feelings? What else would you call it? I'd call it being erased from my own family. I'd call it being treated like a paid service instead of a sister. I'd call it watching you celebrate my niece while pretending I don't exist. We never pretended. You had a welcome party and didn't invite me. You're planning a 1-month celebration and didn't invite me. When exactly was I going to see Livia again? Sloane couldn't answer. That's what I thought. Vance was pacing now, his face red with rage. You want to know the truth? Fine. We were protecting Livia from you. From me? From your obsession with her, the way you acted like she was yours. It was creepy, Holly, unhealthy. I acted like I loved her, because I do. You acted like her mother. I was her mother for 9 months. No, Sloane screamed. You were her carrier. That's all. You carried her for me. The words hung in the air like a bomb that had just exploded. There it is, I said quietly. The real truth. I was just the carrier. Sloane realized what she'd said, her face crumpling. Holly, I didn't mean… Yes, you did. You meant every word. My phone started ringing. I glanced at it. Natasha. Excuse me, I said, stepping into the kitchen. How's it going? Natasha asked. About as well as expected. They're furious. Good. They should be. Any regrets? I looked back at the dining room, where my family was having a heated, whispered argument while Livia cried. Ask me tomorrow. When I returned, they'd clearly been strategizing. Holly, Dad said carefully. What would it take to reverse this? Reverse what? The trust transfer. What are your conditions? I sat back down, considering. Full family inclusion, guaranteed access to Livia, public acknowledgement of what you did wrong. Public? Mom gasped. You want us to humiliate ourselves? I want you to tell the truth, the same truth you've been telling everyone privately. What truth? Vance demanded. That you used me and threw me away. That you got what you wanted and decided I was inconvenient. We never said that. I pulled out my phone again, scrolling to the recording from the party. Want me to play it again? Holly, Sloane said. Please, I'll do anything. Just give us back what's ours. What's yours? It was never yours. It was Grandma and Grandpa's. They left it to family members who honored family bonds. We are family. Are we? When's the last time you treated me like family? Sloane couldn't answer. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to leave. You're going to think about what you've done. And if you decide you want to be a real family, all of us, including me, then we can talk about conditions. And if we don't? Vance asked. Then you live with the consequences of your choices. They gathered their things in angry silence. Sloane strapped Livia into her car seat, tears streaming down her face. Holly, she said at the door. I love you. I know you don't believe that right now, but I do. If you loved me, you wouldn't have erased me. I was scared. Of what? Of losing her, of sharing her, of not being enough. So you decided I had to be nothing. Sloane had no answer for that. After they left, I sat alone at my dining table, surrounded by the remnants of our last family dinner. My phone buzzed with text after text. Mom, this is not over. Dad,
Please reconsider, for the family. Vance, you'll regret this. But nothing from Sloane. The next morning, Natasha came over with coffee and newspapers. You made the society pages, she said, spreading the paper on my table. The headline read, Local Family Trust Dispute Rocks Social Circle. How did they? Vance's big mouth, probably. He called half the country club last night, trying to find a lawyer who'd take the case. Any luck? None. The contract is airtight. My phone rang. Jake Williams. Holly, we need to talk. There's been a development. What kind of development? The kind that requires an immediate meeting. Can you come in this afternoon? Is everything okay? Everything's fine legally, but there's something about the trust you need to know. Something your grandmother specifically requested. After I hung up, Natasha was watching me carefully. What do you think that's about? I have no idea, but knowing Grandma, it's probably going to change everything. Again? Again? Jake's office felt different this time. More formal. He had another lawyer with him, a woman I didn't recognize. Holly, this is Sarah Mitchell. She specializes in trust law. Sarah shook my hand. Your grandmother was a remarkable woman, very thorough in her planning. What's this about? Jake slid a sealed envelope across the desk. Your grandmother left specific instructions. This was only to be opened if the trust transfer was ever activated. I stared at the envelope. My name was written on it in Grandma's careful handwriting. She knew this might happen? She hoped it wouldn't, Sarah said, but she prepared for the possibility. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a letter and another legal document. My dearest Holly. If you're reading this, it means someone in our family forgot what family really means. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know how much that must hurt. But I also know you. You're strong, like me. You don't let people walk over you, and you don't forget what's right. The money is yours now, as it should be. But I have one more gift for you. One more way to protect yourself and any children who might need protecting in the future. Use it wisely. All my love. Grandma. I looked up at Jake. What's the other document? A secondary trust. One that activates only after the primary trust transfers. It's specifically designed to protect children from family disputes. I don't understand. Sarah leaned forward. If anyone in your family tries to use Livia as leverage, if they threaten to cut off your access to her or use her as a bargaining chip, this trust activates. What does it do? It sets up an educational fund for Livia that can only be accessed if you maintain a relationship with her. If they cut you off from your niece, she loses her college fund, her trust fund, everything. How much? $2 million. I stared at them. Grandma set up a trust to protect my relationship with a baby who didn't even exist when she died? She set up a trust to protect family bonds, Jake said. She was very specific about children being used as weapons in family disputes. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Meet me at the park on Elm Street. Come alone. Sloane. I have to go, I said, gathering the documents. Holly, Sarah said. Be careful. Desperate people do desperate things. The park was empty except for Sloane sitting on a bench, Livia's stroller beside her. She looked terrible. Red eyes, messy hair, wrinkled clothes. You came, she said. You asked me to. I wasn't sure you would, after everything. I sat on the other end of the bench, keeping distance between us. What do you want, Sloane? I want my sister back. Do you? Or do you want your money back? Both. At least she was honest. Holly, I messed up. We all did. But this, what you've done, it's destroying everything. I didn't destroy anything. I just made sure there were consequences. Vance left. I looked at her. What? He packed his bags this morning. said he wasn't going to be married to someone who lost $12 million to her crazy sister. I'm sorry. Are you? I'm sorry your husband turned out to be exactly who I thought he was. Sloane laughed bitterly. You never liked him. I never trusted him. There's a difference. Mom and Dad aren't speaking to each other. Dad blames Mom for the incubator comment. Mom blames Dad for not reading the trust documents properly. And you blame me. I blame all of us. She looked down at Livia, who was sleeping peacefully. But mostly I blame myself. For what? For being scared, for listening to Vance, for forgetting that you're my sister. I watched her face, looking for the manipulation I'd grown used to. But she just looked broken. Holly, I need you to know something. When I was in labor with my first pregnancy, the one I lost, you were the only one who stayed with me all night. Do you remember? I did remember. Sloane had been 26, terrified, and alone because Vance was out of town on business. You held my hand and told me everything would be okay, even when the doctor said it wouldn't be. Sloane, I forgot that. I forgot who you really are. I let Vance convince me you were a threat instead of remembering you were my protector. Livia stirred in her stroller, making soft baby noises. She looks like you, Sloane said quietly. She looks like us, like our family. Holly, what would it take, really, for you to forgive me? I thought about the documents in my purse, about the secondary trust that would protect my relationship with Livia forever. I want to be her aunt, really be her aunt, not just when it's convenient for you. Okay? I want you to acknowledge publicly what you did, not to humiliate you, but so people understand that actions have consequences. Okay. And I want you to mean it, not just say it because you want the money back. Sloane was quiet for a long moment. What if I can't give you the money back? What if it's too late? Is it about the money? Partly. But mostly it's about proving that family matters more than pride. And if I can't swallow my pride, then you'll have to live with the consequences. Sloane reached into the stroller and picked up Livia, who had started to fuss. Would you like to hold her? I hesitated. Are you sure? She's your niece. She should know her Aunt Holly. I took Livia carefully, and she settled against my chest like she belonged there. Hi, sweetheart, I whispered. I've missed you. Holly, Sloane said. I'm going to fix this. I don't know how, but I'm going to make it right. How? I'm going to tell everyone the truth, about what we did to you, about how wrong we were. And then I'm going to hope my sister is more forgiving than I deserve. I looked down at Livia, then back at Sloane. There's something else you need to know. About the trust. What about it? Grandma left another provision, one that protects Livia. I told her about the secondary trust, watching her face change as she understood the implications. So if I try to keep you away from her, she loses everything. Her college fund, her inheritance, all of it. Sloane was quiet for a long time. Grandma really thought of everything. She did. Holly, I want you to know, even if there was no money involved, even if there were no consequences, I'd still want to fix this, because I miss my sister. I looked at her, holding my niece, and for the first time in weeks, I saw the sister I'd grown up with instead of the stranger she'd become. I miss her too, I said. But missing someone and trusting them again were two very different things. The Facebook post went live on Tuesday morning. I need to publicly apologize to my sister Holly. 3 months ago, she carried and delivered my daughter as a surrogate. Instead of celebrating her incredible gift, my family and I treated her like she was disposable. We excluded her from family gatherings, called her just the incubator, and tried to erase her from our lives after she gave us everything we dreamed of. We were wrong. Completely, utterly wrong. Holly, if you're reading this, I'm sorry. Our daughter deserves to know the aunt who loved her before she was even born. Sloane. My phone started ringing within minutes. Did you see it? Natasha asked. I saw it. How do you feel? Surprised. I didn't think she'd actually do it. What now? Now we see if she means it. The post had over 200 comments by noon. Most were supportive of Sloane's apology, but a few were brutal. You treated your own sister like a rental womb? Disgusting. Holly deserves better than this family. Too little, too late. Mom called that afternoon. Holly, we need to talk. Do we? Your sister's post. It's causing problems. People are talking. Good. Maybe they should talk. This isn't helping anyone. It's helping me. Finally, people know the truth. The truth is complicated. No, Mom, the truth is simple. You forgot I was your daughter. Silence. Then quietly, you're right. I almost dropped the phone. What? You're right. I got so caught up in Sloane's happiness, in finally having a grandchild, that I forgot about my other daughter. The one who made it all possible. Mom, I called you an incubator, Holly. My own daughter. I don't know how to take that back. You can't take it back, but you can do better going forward. How? By remembering that I'm family too. Dad called an hour later. Your mother's been crying all day, he said. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Really? I thought about it. Yeah, I am. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I just wanted to matter. You do matter. You've always mattered. Then why didn't you defend me? Because I'm a coward. Because it was easier to keep the peace than to do what was right. And now? Now I'm asking my daughter to forgive a foolish old man who forgot what's important. That evening, Sloane showed up at my door with Livia and a bottle of wine. I brought reinforcements, she said, holding up the baby. Dirty pool, using my niece as a negotiation tactic. Is it working? I stepped aside to let them in. Maybe. We sat on my couch, Livia between us on a blanket, reaching for the toys I'd bought months ago. The post was brave, I said. It was necessary. I needed people to know what kind of person I'd become. And what kind of person is that? The kind who forgets that love isn't a zero-sum game. I thought loving you meant less love for Livia. I thought including you meant less space for me. And now? Now I think Livia's lucky to have so many people who love her. Livia grabbed my finger and held on tight. She knows you, Sloane said. Look how she calms down when you hold her. She's perfect. She is, and she's going to know her Aunt Holly. Really know her. I looked at my sister. What about the money? Keep it. Sloane. I'm serious. You earned it. Not just by carrying Livia, but by standing up for yourself when we tried to throw you away. The trust was meant to keep families together. Then let it. Let it remind us what we almost lost. What about Vance? What about him? He showed his true colors when things got hard. Good riddance. And Mom and Dad? They're learning. Slowly, but they're trying. Livia started fussing, and I picked her up automatically, bouncing her gently. You're a natural, Sloane said. I had 9 months of practice. Holly, I want you to be her godmother. Officially. What? If something happens to me, I want you to raise her. I want it legal, documented, ironclad. Sloane. I'm serious. You're the person who loved her first. You're the person who protected her before she was born. You're the person who fought for her when her own mother was too stupid to see what mattered. I looked down at Livia, who had fallen asleep in my arms. Okay, I said. Okay? Okay to all of it. Godmother, family dinners, Sunday visits, everything. And the money? I'll set up a trust for Livia, for her education, her future. The rest, we'll figure it out. We? We. As in family. As in the way it should have been from the beginning. Sloane started crying. I thought I'd lost you forever. You almost did. But not quite? Not quite. My phone buzzed. A text from Jake Williams. Saw the Facebook post. Your grandmother would be proud. Both of you. I showed Sloane the message. Think she's watching? Sloane asked, probably laughing at how long it took us to figure it out. Figure what out? That family isn't about blood or money or who gets what. It's about showing up. It's about fighting for each other instead of against each other. Livia stirred in my arms, opening her eyes and looking up at me with that serious baby expression that melted my heart every time. "Hi, beautiful girl," I whispered. "Your Aunt Holly's here, and I'm not going anywhere." Sloane leaned against my shoulder, watching her daughter. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For not giving up on us, for fighting back, for making sure she'll always have her aunt. Thank you for remembering that I'm your sister." "Always," she said, "even when I'm too stupid to act like it." I looked around my living room, at my sister, at my niece, at the family I'd almost lost and fought to keep. The money was nice. The justice was satisfying. But this, having my family back, having my place in Livia's life secured, this was everything. Grandma had been right about consequences, but she'd also been right about something else. Family is worth fighting for, even when they forget it themselves.